Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at our first balance for Age of Sigmar. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Warhammer Age of Sigmar, behold the first balance changes to the latest edition. The new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar has been out for a couple of months now, but the work hasn't stopped. The rules writers have been keeping a very close eye on the game data as it comes in, and they're releasing the first quarterly download of the edition. The full document can be downloaded at the bottom of this article, and here's where the Warhammer Studio have to say. Alright, so there will be a link down in the description for the balance status slate. Updating the rules for every faction alongside the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar was a big challenge, and as expected, there's a handful of factions over or underperforming at the moment. Thanks to everyone for sending their feedback to Age of Sigmar FAQ@gwplc.com, as it was instrumental in identifying common challenges and opportunities for adjustment. We've broken the changes down into 5 categories, covering balance adjustments for the core rules, the General's Handbook, and all of the 4 Grand Alliances. Alright, so first we have the core rules and General's Handbook. Manifestations. If a manifestation is removed from play, it cannot be summoned again this same turn. Banish manifestation. Add 1 to the banishment roll for each additional enemy manifestation on the battlefield after the first. Morbid Conjuration. Remove Wild Form from the Purple Sun of Shyish, increasing the casting value for Summon Suffocating Gravetide to 8, and made Malevolent Maelstrom Morbid Detonation mandatory when it reaches 6 Maelstrom points. Primal Energy. Remove Wild Form from the Ravenic Gnashing Jaws. And then we have Honor Guard. Priority target. Reduce the power level to improve internal balance between Honor Guard abilities. And then the other clarified faction terrain rules for fighting and piling in. Covering fire. All-out defense may now be used in response. While we've thoroughly enjoyed endless spells and invocations raging across the battlefields of the mortal realms, it has become clear that they are having a more pronounced effect on the game than intended. Internal balance between lores also needed an adjustment, and Morbid Conjuration in particular has become a dominant pick. As such, we've made some targeted adjustments to overpowered manifestations, and 2 broad rules changes to open up additional counterplay. We also felt that Honor Guard abilities from the General's Handbook could use an internal balance adjustment. Priority target only offers a bonus to hit and wound against the enemy general and Honor Guard instead of all the enemy general's regiment, and only within 12 inches in order to reduce the benefits for long-range shooting. Alright, so overall sounds like some pretty good changes. Definitely nice to see them doing some internal balance already, as they can see what people have been using, what's been a little bit on the overpowered side, and then kind of reining those things in. Alright, and then we have Grand Alliance order adjustments. Cities of Sigmar, Free Guild Fusiliers can now pick either ranged weapon profile while in a fortified position. Daughters of Cain, Shadow Pass, core keyword removed, so units that attempt the ability can still move if they fail the roll. And then Fire Slayers, Orruk Runesun, clarified the cumulative effect on the Magmadross Vying of Glory ability. And then Lumineth Realm Lords, Shining Company only gets -1 to hit for friendly unit didn't charge or use Power of Hyish in that turn. Lyriar Uthriel clarified the wording and timing of Voice of Tyrion. Shrine Luminar clarified the wording and timing of Enter the Shrine and Exit the Shrine. And then we see for Seraphon, Clandestine Translocation, core keyword removed, so a unit attempts this ability can still move if they fail the roll. Saurus Astaroth Bear clarified the wording for Celestial Conduit. And then for the Stormcast Eternals, Peerless Maneuvers require clarification, core keyword removed, so the unit can attempt the ability, it can still move if they fail the roll. Praetors, they can now use Soul Bonded while in reserves. And then Sylvaneth, Tree Song, wording change to make it easier to set up Wildwoods. Wildwoods now have a 5-up ward, and a range of friendly abilities which require units to be wholly within 6 of the Wildwood is increased by 3 for an additional scenery piece in that terrain feature. And then Alariel, Rite of Life, becomes once per turn, and then reduces damage points allocated return monster to 6. And then Vengeful Skullroot added an additional ability to allow it to count as a Wildwood for some friendly abilities. The 2 order factions we chose to focus on for the update were Sylvaneth and Lumineth Realm Lords. We made several adjustments to the Sylvaneth to make their battle traits easier to use, while as the Lumineth Realm Lords have been overperforming in early results. We've started with an adjustment to tone down Shining Company, but we're also closely monitoring the Hurricane units and will likely make further adjustments down the line. In addition to those, we've also made a handful of rules tweaks across several other order factions, mostly for quality of life fixes, along with points adjustments across every faction to improve internal and external balance. Grand Alliance Chaos Adjustments. Blades of Corn. Wrathax changed the timing of the Hatred Edge to make it easier to use. Skull Altar clarify wording and timing of Ascended the Altar and Descend the Altar. Disciplines of Sinch, Burning Wild Flame, and Quenching the Flames can now affect manifestations and faction terrain features. Shield of Fate must target a Disciple of Tzeentch unit. Chaos Spawn of Tzeentch, they can now be set up on the battlefield during deployment. Burning Sigil of Tzeentch, rework the effect Radiant Transmorification. Hedonites of Slaanesh, Temptation Dice, when an opponent rolls a 1 or 2, they must replace their roll with the value instead of with the 6, and allocated D3 damage points to their unit. Maggotkin of Nurgle, Burst Pustules, a new ability which spreads the disease condition to nearby enemy units when a disease unit is destroyed. Below Brot Spawns, Miama Pestilence, wording clarified. The Maggotkin of Nurgle received a brand new ability, Burst Pustules, which makes it easier to spread disease across the battlefield. While you've increased the risk of opponents who use Temptation Dice against Hedonites of Slaanesh, other factions get quality of life adjustments along with points changes. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. Grand Alliance Death Adjustments. Flesh Eater Quartz. Charnel Throne clarified the wording and timing of Reigning Champion and Duty Calls. Night Haunt, there is no escape. This ability now only affects one friendly unit. Dreadblade Harrows, Phantasmal Descorporation, now happens during your movement phase. Terrifying Entity, reworked to be easier to use. Soulblight Glaveyards, Torgilus the Chamberlain, reduced attacks of necrotizing. Bolts to D6 restricted Trusted Lieutenant may only target units that have not already been targeted by Death Invocation that turn. Orb of Enchantment, clarified wording. Our main focus for Grand Alliance Death was to tone down the Night Haunt, who have been one of the strongest factions in early event results. We primarily focused on Deathstalker's battle formation, which has now been adjusted to only affect one unit instead of the entire army. As well as adjusting the Dreadblade Harrows, other factions have smaller adjustments when necessary as well as points changes. Grand Alliance Destruction Adjustments. Destruction Factions. Kragnos the End of Times. End of Times ability now happens during your charge phase, lowering points by 100 to 580. Gloomspite Kits. Web Spinner Shaman. Change control characteristic to 2. Ironjaw's Wa. Ability may now be used once per battle per hero. Ogre Maw Tribes. Maw Pit clarified wording and timing of the Feed the Maw and Step Away from the Maw. Sons of Bahamut, Glowy Lantern now uses the manifestation lore you pick during army composition rather than during the deployment phase. Kraken Eater Mega Gargant clarified how Get Off Me Land interacts with objects with special scoring requirements. The biggest adjustments we made to Destruction was the Mighty Kragnos. We've decided to limit the End of Empire's ability only work in your charge phase, as we found that the use of this ability for countercharging was a bit too strong. In order to compensate for the change, we've lowered its points cost by 100, making it much easier to include in rosters. And more tactically focused on the battlefield, Ironjaws will also get significant boosts, as they can now use Ironjaw's Wall once per hero instead of just once per battle. That's your top level review, but there's plenty more changes with points adjustments on more than 250 units, update to frequently asked questions, and more. You can expect monthly FAQ updates toward the end of each month to adjust the issues that crop up, as well as bigger adjustments to your quarterly Battle Scroll updates. Alright, so quite a few changes to the actual rules, and then we have the Battle Tome Profiles and Rules Update, which is going to have the points as well. So if we just jump over here to the Battle Profiles and Rules Update using the link, we can scroll on down and just see the general points changes, how common they are, etc. So first we have Cities of Sigmar, we see the Black Dragon coming down by 20, Steam Tank coming down by 30, Flagellants coming down by 10, Gyro Bomber by 20, Gyrocopter by 20, and then we see Charybdis 20 points, Luminath, Scourge Runner Chariot. So overall we see drops for the Cities of Sigmar. And then moving down here to Daughters of Cain. Again, overall we see mostly green, which means the points are coming down. Idnath Deepkin, again we see green, which means points are coming down and on a lot of stuff. And then we see Luminath Realm Lords. We see a couple of increased points here, a couple of drops as well. So much more of an internal balance when you see stuff going up and down. And then for Seraphon, again we see a mix of red and green. Stormcast, we see a little bit of green here, quite a bit of green, so definitely some points drops for Stormcast. Quite a few of those. Looks like dragons are coming down in general. And then for Sylvaneth, we see a points increase for Balthanos, but then overall points drops for a lot of other stuff here. So overall, looks like quite a few changes. Blades of Corn, almost everything coming down from the character categories. Quite a bit of points drops for them. Disciples of Tzeentch, again, points drops overall. Hedonites of Slaanesh, we see quite a few points drops, couple increases on some of the range units. Maggotkin of Nurgle, quite a few points drops as well. Skaven, we see a decent amount of points drops here also. So we see a lot of points drops here in general. Slaves of Darkness, again, just a lot of points drops, everything coming down here. And then we see the Flesh Eater Courts, quite a few points drops. Night Haunt, we see a little bit of a mix here. Some increases, some decreases. Osiarch Bone Reapers, quite a few points drops also. Soulblight Gravelords, quite a few points drops. So it looks like in general you're going to be getting a lot more stuff in your army. Then for Bone Splitters, no changes. Obviously Games Workshop already kind of pushing them to the side. Gloomspite Gits, we see some increases, some decreases. Iron Jaws in general, we just see a bunch of points drops here. Quite a few. Kruleboyz, we see a couple of points drops as well. Ogre Maw Tribes, we see a couple increases, but mostly decreases. Sons of Bahamut, we see Kragnos coming down, otherwise everything staying the same. So while we do see a couple of increases on some key units, it looks like overall things are coming down in points, which means you're going to get a little bit more into your army. You might be able to finagle in an extra unit or just kind of shift some stuff around to get something a little bit more ideal. But it does look like Games Workshop have done a pretty good job adjusting not only the actual rules and the points, but a combination of both. We see some changes overall to the armies. For external balance, we see quite a bit of internal balance as well. But in general, it looks like the changes for the most part are pretty good. So let me know what you've been experiencing with Age of Sigmar, how many games of Big Sig you've been getting in, or if you've been playing more Spearhead. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description. Save 15% on most Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man. And it's good to see Games Workshop putting Sigmar in focus and fixing some of the existing issues. And I'm out of here.